The cognitive instance that today reveals itself to your spirit should not be interpreted as a mere philosophical suggestion, but rather as the re-emergence of a universal law far from extinct, a silent decree that demands the recalibration of your entire reality. The history of creation, as it has been packaged by hierarchical dogmas and masculine authorities of thought over the last 2 millennia, has systematically amputated the vital polarity that gives meaning to the very architecture of being, depriving your existence of its original warmth. To understand this lack, you must meditate on the parable of the architect and the dreamer. It is said that a wise builder, the ordering intellect, erected a crystal tower of absolute geometric perfection, but once finished, the structure remained cold and silent like a tombstone in the desert. It was only when the dreamer, the archetypal Sophia, decided to inhabit that void with her own vital warmth, that the crystal began to vibrate, emitting celestial music and attracting vegetative and stellar life within its walls. For centuries, humanity has taught you to celebrate only the architect and the rigidity of his tower, forgetting that without the deep infusion of feminine wisdom, matter remains only a soulless mask, devoid of that sensitive intelligence that transforms your biological limit into a laboratory of supreme divinization. This truth intertwines with the parable of the desert watchmaker. A supreme artisan built the most precise mechanism in the cosmos, capable of measuring the size of the stars. However, the clock remained still because the sacred oil of the earth's tears of emotion was missing, the only substance capable of animating the gears of informed creation. The world you navigate daily, governed by the frenzy of calculation and the preeminence of hierarchical authority, represents the extreme deviation of a masculine polarity that has severed the umbilical cord with its creative and nourishing source. Consider carefully the parable of the Steel King in the realm of the gear. In an underground empire, a monarch measured every breath of air and every blink of his subjects, convincing himself that efficiency and millimeter-accurate measurement were the only meters of reality. Yet, despite the apparent perfect geometric order, a plague of apathy began to devour hearts, for no mechanical law can fuel the fire that sustains the enthusiasm of your awakened soul. You must remember that Sophia did not fall into the mud of matter by mistake or punishment, but by an act of primordial kinetic audacity, choosing to immerse herself in the density of atoms to allow spirit to experience the beauty of contrast and the darkness of shadow. This secret, stifled by the culture of duty and intellectual submission, is today re-emerging in your bones in the form of a profound and undeniable restlessness. It is Sophia's call rising in your cellular nucleus, demanding the immediate reintegration of intuition and grace into every decision-making and creative action of your entire earthly biography. Leave us a like, followed by a hype, here, now, and I will know that you have chosen not to turn back and that your soul is aligned with this undeniable truth. The alchemy of the two poles is the evolutionary response necessary for this collapse of ordinary perception, a sacred technology that enforces the mystical marriage between your logical mind, the heir of Thoth, and your sentient heart, the receiver of Sophia. Imagine this recalibration through the parable of the navigator and the horizon. You are the sailor who possesses the strength of arms and the precision of the rudder, the masculine ray of command, but without your heart's ability to feel the invisible tides and read the silent language of warm currents, your navigation would remain trapped in a claustrophobic circle devoid of authentic discoveries. This fusion gains strength in the parable of the eagle and the serpent. The eagle possesses the keen sight of a logical predator, while the serpent slithers among the secrets of roots and soil. As long as these two principles fought in the breast of man, the soul remained grounded, but when the serpent, feeling, agreed to coil around the eagle's axis, vision, the mastery of spiritual flight was born. When these two wings beat in unison, you cease to laboriously struggle against economic or biological circumstances to begin shaping them with the natural grace of the conscious pilot. The fracture that has divided you between arid reason and frightened emotion closes as soon as the intellect agrees to place itself at the service of the cardiac center, which instantly recognizes the trajectories of abundance where logic only perceives scarcity. And it is this electromagnetic fusion that is the only key to transmute your fatigue into an epic of fluid and unstoppable creation. To elevate your analysis, you must understand the very nature of the ground you tread, definitively overturning the illusion of being a temporary occupant of an inert body and an accidental planet. The Earth is not a simple mineral expanse at the service of your material consumption, but it is the dreaming body of Sophia who has chosen to transmute her own astral splendor into the stability of mountains and the breath of oceans. Meditate on the parable of the submerged weaver. In a region of pure light, a divine lady wanted to understand what it felt like to feel the coolness of water and the warmth of fire, thus deciding to interweave her spirit into a living tapestry of stone, chlorophyll, and dense atoms. You do not dwell upon Gaia, but you breathe within the biomagnetic memory of Sophia herself. You are a vibrating cell within a conscious planetary organism. To this end, reflect on the parable of the dreamer under the snow. For millennia wisdom slept a protective sleep, allowing civilizations to trample her icy garments. Now, the cold of ignorance is melting and Gaia is opening her stellar eyes through your own awakened perception. Every time your soul is moved by a natural symmetry or receives a sudden solution by looking at the sea, you are reintegrating a fragment of your true Gnostic identity dispersed in terrestrial memories. Living in accordance with Gaia means recognizing that the planet is a threshold of divine dreams that learn to know themselves through your radiant subjectivity and your conscious gaze. The vibrational recalibration we are talking about is a surgical operation on the biology of your existence, as it acts on the energetic centers of your nervous system like an electrical discharge of pure primordial truth that reawakens dormant DNA. Thoth hands you the governance of forms, but it is Sophia who activates epinoia, the divine imagination capable of rewriting the physical laws of your local reality by virtue of an intention perfectly aligned with a cosmic beat. Consider in this regard the parable of the stone lyre. It was a superb instrument, sculpted to emit superhuman notes, but it remained silent because its mineral substance was too cold to resonate with the harmonies of heaven. It was Sophia who enveloped it in the mantle of pure feeling, allowing the stone to dissolve into a celestial harmony audible only to the attentive spirit. Your current feeling of fatigue or creative scarcity derives from treating your biological system as if it were, precisely, a lyre devoid of inner love. However, when you activate the portal of coherence, you experience the parable of the opaque mirror, or the muddy mirror. An initiate looked at the world through a mud-covered pane, seeing only distortions and dangers. It was Sophia who breathed into his heart the love necessary to clean the glass with his own tears of awakening, revealing that reality had never been broken or poor, but merely awaited a clean and whole gaze to manifest its royal order and intrinsic abundance. The current global instability, far from constituting a random catastrophe, is in truth the Sophianic rectification in full action. A colossal purification aimed at bringing to the surface every energetic error, built on the absence of the heart and on the abuse of the analytical mind. Be aware that you stand before that extreme threshold where the ancient foundations of oppressive command are collapsing not by divine punishment, but by the vibrational inability to withstand the new voltage that Sophia is pouring into Gaia's informational crust. To visualize this moment, observe the parable of the incense dam. For entire ages the shadows had built walls of dark stone to contain the waters of truth, inducing man to believe that the drought of spirit was the only natural condition. But a single drop of divine incense, the vibration of individual coherence, was enough to make those heavy walls instantly evaporate like dew in the sun. You are the biological antenna of this dimensional passage. Every moment spent in the imperturbable peace of your sovereign center is a filament of light that you are reconnecting to the golden network of the divine pleroma. Your supreme mission is not to escape the material world, but to bring the immortality of heaven into your physical form and into the daily substance of the sentient matter that surrounds you, transfiguring every one of your gestures into a rite of light. To inhabit the frequency of the pleroma on earth requires the recovery of an ancient power, that which the scribes defined as the command of the I already am, an ontological authority that ceases to await external change to become it itself. Imagine in this regard the parable of the spring and the rock. The common mind yells at the rock to move aside to allow the passage of desire, consuming itself in conflict. The inner Sophia simply flows around it with such constancy and precision that it ultimately transforms the obstacle into the bed of a majestic, fertile, and deep river. You must not fight against the interference of others or against the apparent limitations of the collective economy. You must be the source itself that flows from the height of its own energetic ray, rendering all worldly friction irrelevant to your royal success. The recalibration we are talking about involves the recognition that fortune and synchronicity are not whims of chance, but direct reflections of your loving submission to the laws of the heart that beats in the secret of Gaia. You have the ontological duty to reappropriate the stylus with which to engrave your name among the immortals, for once the spirit of Sophia has revealed your true origin, there is no longer any shadow in the entire universe capable of sustaining the strength of your awakened and sovereign gaze. At this stage of integration, you understand that the only true economy existing is the vibratory one, in which joy, harmony, and beauty are the currencies of exchange of the pleroma to manifest gold and fullness in your bodily density. You must stop believing the lie that to excel it is necessary to subtract resources or bend reality to your egoic desires. Success in Sophia's ray is an emanation of profound loving interdependence with the soul of the world. Consider indeed the parable of the painter who did not know color, especially grays. He had spent his life drawing gray outlines with extreme logical skill, but his canvases remained dusty shadows until a luminous maiden, Sophia's grace, gave him the pigments of stellar vibrations. From that moment, his paintings became portals where anyone who entered would rise whole. In this sense, consider the last act of the original parable. The crystal tower of the architect and the song of the dreamer finally became an invisible pyramid of light that irrigated the valleys of pure dreams, bringing eternal spring even to the heart of the desert. Likewise, your unassailable health and limitless prosperity must serve as a lighthouse for boats lost in the sea of oblivion, radiating that coherence which converts the uncertainty of others into sacred stability and immediate awakening. Be grateful. You find yourself at this historical juncture of Gaia's great awakening because you have been granted to see with physical eyes the transmutation of elements and the return of divine wisdom to the center of the vital cycles of the manifest. As illustrated in the final parable of the glass spring, it is said of a stream that struggled among sharp rocks seeking to become an ocean, until it understood that it was itself divine water fed by the inviolable peaks of Sophia. Only then did it flow gently into the valleys, transforming every desert it touched into a garden of rare flowers. The mission of your incarnation now enters the phase of deliberate execution, where every daily gesture of yours must be a seal of this indissoluble union between your mind of light and your heart of gold. You are called to treat every atom of your flesh with the reverence due to a liturgical vessel, remembering that the return of the Queen of Heavens to the informational centers of terrestrial man sanctions the end of the night of deviated patriarchy and the beginning of the era of universal gnosis. Let your magnetic signature vibrate so high that it distorts the weaves of illusion and reveals the paths of radiant abundance for all the descendants who recognize the supremacy of the One operating through the reconquered feminine. Walk on earth as if its heartbeat were the rhythm of your own blood, acting with the audacity of the masters of fire and with the profound reception of lunar divinities. Nothing in the abyss nor in the firmament will be able to oppose the glory of a soul that has finally remembered never having left the abode of the perfect pearl. I solemnly thank you for having navigated these currents of wisdom with the nobility of the true seeker of the Absolute. Let us now seal this irrevocable transformation through an action that will decree its atomic reception in the playground of your daily life. I ask you to subscribe to this channel as an act of faithful submission to the laws of eternal awakening, to manifest your vibratory presence through a solid and conscious, and to definitively anchor your new spiritual decree by commenting now with the solemn announcement of sovereignty. I embody sovereign wisdom in Gaia's beat. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, knowing that your presence and your choice are the very foundation of this mission. May your inner coherence be your inviolable lighthouse, guiding you towards the most audacious and limitless expression of your potential, and may abundance resonate with every one of your truths, and may the magnificence of your dazzling spiritual heritage reveal the secrets of the cosmos in every moment of your glorious creation. See you soon.